It's 2:15 a.m. on the 18th of November 2025. The southern Caribbean is almost black, with only a thin glow from the moon hitting the water, far from the coast of Venezuela. A US RC-135 spy plane holds a straight line, while two F-18 Super Hornets sweep ahead of it. Everything is calm until a sharp alarm cuts through the cockpit of the lead F-18. A radar spike from the Venezuelan coast has locked onto the formation. The warning tone rises fast, louder each second. Inside the RC-135, the air feels tight. Analysts lean forward as new signals hit their screens. One operator calls out that the radar pattern is stronger than anything they saw earlier tonight. The crew knows this is not a normal search sweep. This is Venezuela pushing closer to a fire control level. For a moment, no one speaks. The F-18 pilot steadies his hand on the throttle, waiting to hear if the warning will jump to the next stage. On the RC-135, the mission commander watches the threat picture build and knows they are one step away from a move that could change the night. Then the tone in the F-18 shifts again. It is still rising. Everyone waits for the next sound. It will decide what happens next. What happened over the Caribbean that night is bigger than one radar spike. The RC-135 was not just passing by. It was there to pull real information straight from the air defense system of Venezuela. That coastline, especially the area near Caracas, is packed with radar sites, missile batteries, and command centers built to watch every mile of the sky. When the F-18 seconds moved closer, they were not trying to start a fight. They were trying to make those systems wake up. Once they did, the RC-135 could record every signal, every sweep, every move. This matters because the RC-135 is the first step in any serious mission. Before any strike, before any major action, the US needs to know how fast the Venezuelan network reacts, which radar turns on first, which unit talks to which, and where the strongest and weakest spots are. If a real conflict ever breaks out, this data will decide who gets hit and who makes it home. For the pilots in the air, it is not theory. The F-18 seconds are the bait. They fly the closest. They are the first the enemy sees. They know S-300 missiles can reach them in seconds. They also know they cannot fire first. Their job is to stay calm, hold position, and trust that Growlers and the RC-135 behind them understand every move coming from the coast. For the RC-135 crew, the tension comes from something else. They do not carry weapons. They carry 30 people who listen and analyze. That makes the plane a high-value target. Everyone aboard knows that losing a plane like this would shake Washington and push the situation into a place no one wants to reach. And on the ground in Washington, this one flight means even more. The government is close to labeling Cartel de los Soles, a group tied to people around Maduro, as a foreign terrorist group. If that happens, the US military gets more options, more pressure, more authority to act. That is why this mission is not only about flying near a coastline, it is about shaping the next steps between the two countries. So, here is a quick question for you. If you think Venezuela pushed too far by lighting up the formation, press 1" the comments. If you think the US response was the real message, press 9. And make sure to subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. The second warning tone hits hard inside the F-18. It is sharp and rising fast. The pilot drops only a little in altitude, just enough to change the radar return without looking like he is reacting. He knows every small move counts. He cannot look hostile, and he cannot look weak. His eyes stay locked on the threat display, waiting for the moment the tone shifts into something far worse. Inside the RC-135, the screens shift from calm lines to tight, clear spikes. One analyst says, "That's a real emitter." Another tags the frequency as a likely S-300 search radar. The room goes quiet except for short calls and the steady hum of the equipment. This is the data they came for, but everyone feels how close the radar is getting. A few more sweeps and they might be inside a fire control cone. The Growler adjusts position and keeps its jamming tools warm but off. Tonight is about listening, not revealing. If they push too early, they lose the chance to map how Venezuela reacts. The crew watches the threat picture tighten around the formation, ready to respond the second the lock appears. Far behind them, the B-52 stays steady. It carries long-range missiles but plays no part unless things go bad. The bomber crew listens to every update and keeps their systems sharp. They know if a real fight starts, they are the ones who open the first long-range strike. Inside the Venezuelan radar center, operators increase the sweep. They can see the formation holding its line. It looks like a test, and they know it. A supervisor tells them to keep tracking but avoid a mistake that could start something bigger. Even they feel the weight of the moment. Back in the F-18, the tone shifts again. It is not a hard lock, but too close for comfort. Growler, confirm pressure. The reply comes fast. Confirmed, no lock. The pilot checks his distance around 30 miles, close enough that a missile could reach him in seconds. He tightens his grip and stays exactly where he is told. On the RC-135, the mission commander finally says, "Hold position." They need the full picture. Leaving early means losing key data. Another spike appears, stronger than before, and everyone holds their breath. Then, slowly, the warning tone softens. Not gone, but easing. The commander studies the display and says, "Maintain course." No one relaxes. The night holds for now, but everyone feels they were seconds away from something far more dangerous. The tension doesn't fade, it climbs. Just as the warning tone eases, another signal pops onto the RC-135 screens, this time from deeper inside Venezuela. An analyst calls out, "New radar, different angle." A second sight coming online means one thing: Venezuela is widening its picture. They're not just watching the F-18 seconds, they're watching everything. Outside, the sky is calm, but inside every aircraft, the threat map thickens. The Growler adjusts again, sliding into a cleaner line to shield the F-18 seconds if anything snaps. The crew keeps their fingers close to the controls, ready to fire up the jammers. They know once they activate, the mission flips from collection to defense. On the RC-135, analysts log every pulse and shift. One frowns. Cycle times faster, cleaner. That means Venezuela is learning, adjusting, testing reactions. And everyone knows, tonight isn't routine for them either. The F-18 pilot watches a new spike touch the edge of his threat ring. Pressure rising, no lock. The Growler confirms the same. The voices are steady, but no one is comfortable. At this distance, a radar lock doesn't blink, it commits. Inside Venezuela's radar center, operators follow strict orders. They bring the second radar to full strength, but stop short of the switch that would signal a hard lock. They know how easily that could push both sides over the line. Each sweep sharpens the American formation. The supervisor wipes his forehead. He doesn't want to be the man who starts something he can't stop. The B-52 holds position, its crew watching threat data update in real time. One officer murmurs, "If they lock the F-18 seconds, we're next." No one argues. Then comes a long, heavy pause. No new spikes, no sudden tones, just engines and dark ocean. But under the quiet, both sides are calculating. "Continue holding, keep recording," the RC-135 commander says. He knows how close they are to the edge, but he also knows Washington is getting exactly what it wants: a real look at Venezuela under pressure. "Still clean," the F-18 reports. The Growler adds, "No lock. They're watching, not stepping." No one relaxes. One wrong sweep, one nervous operator could flip the night. A spike flickers, then fades. Not a lock, just a reminder that both sides are awake and waiting. The night looks calmer, but the calm is a trap. While the F-18 seconds hold their line and the RC-135 keeps recording, something else moves far beyond Venezuelan awareness. Two stealth fighters sliding through the darkness, silent and invisible. Caracas never sees them. They are the hidden guard. Inside the RC-135, an analyst spots a small dip in the noise floor, the kind only someone trained would notice. He knows it means a friendly stealth jet shifting position miles away. The commander says nothing on the open net, but the crew understands They are not alone out here. Venezuela thinks it sees the whole formation, but the most important pieces are off their radar entirely. And tonight's mission is not just about collecting frequencies. The RC-135 is mapping how fast Venezuela communicates, who reacts instantly, who hesitates, which node slows down first. In a real fight, those delays shape an entire strike plan. On the coast, Venezuelan operators sense something unnatural. The formation is too steady, too controlled, but they still miss the silent escort. Their screens simply cannot show what is really out there. Even the F-18 pilot doesn't know the stealth fighters shadow him. He only feels the radar pressure rising and falling like a pulse. If a missile launched, those unseen jets would react before he could even call for help. Inside the RC-135, the commander studies the expanding map. What they gather tonight is more than radar data. It is a blueprint of how Venezuela thinks under stress. Washington will dissect it for weeks. Both sides are testing each other without crossing the line, each move quiet but deliberate. If you think the hidden stealth escort shifts the balance, press 1. If you believe Venezuela still holds the advantage on home turf, press 9 and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist above the Caribbean. The calm breaks fast. A new tone snaps through the F-18 cockpit, sharper, tighter. The pilot knows it instantly. This isn't a simple search. It is close to a fire control read. His voice stays steady when he reports it, but his pulse spikes. 30 miles from the coast, well within S-300 reach. Inside the RC-135, the shift is obvious. Signals jump in strength. An analyst says, "That's tighter, they're pushing harder." It's not a full lock, but close enough to freeze the room. Everyone waits to see if the next sweep turns the spike into a hard lock. Behind the formation, the Growler slides closer, jammers powered just below the threshold. One activation would blind the radar but would also reveal US methods. They hold, hands ready to fire in an instant. Farther back, the B-52 crew listens. One officer mutters, "If they lock him, we're next." Their long-range missiles were loaded for a reason. In the Venezuelan radar station, tension mirrors the sky. Operators watch the return sharpen as the F-18 lingers in range. One leans in to switch modes. The supervisor stops him. No lock. Not yet. One wrong move could be read as hostile. In the F-18, the tone shifts again, steady, rising, probing. The pilot keeps level, breathing slow. From miles away, a stealth escort watches silently, ready to react if the worst unfolds. Then, the moment peaks. The next sweep hits harder. Watch it, an RC-135 analyst warns. The spike tightens. The Growler crew hovers over the switch. The pilot braces. The whole formation holds its breath. Then release. The spike loosens. The tone softens. No lock, no missile. The heat of the threat fades as quickly as it rose. The RC-135 commander exhales and says, "Maintain course. Stay on mission." For a moment, only engine hum fills the air. Everyone knows how close they came to a night that could have changed everything. The calm returns, but now it carries weight. Everyone has felt how fast pressure can turn to danger. If you think that spike was the closest this night came to a real fight, press 1. If you think Venezuela pulled back at the last moment, press 9. And subscribe so you don't miss what happens after this razor-thin escape. When the radar pressure finally fades, the formation holds its line a little longer. Only when the picture stays calm does the RC-135 turn back from the coast, still recording every signal. The crew knows the most useful details often appear right after the threat dies down. In the F-18, the pilot finally breathes. The tone is gone, but the feeling of how close it came stays with him. The Growler confirms, all quiet, yet everyone keeps scanning. Minutes earlier, one wrong radar sweep could have started a real fight. Inside the RC-135, analysts begin sorting the data. They captured full radar cycles, reaction times, and moments where Venezuelan crews hesitated. These gaps matter. They show where the air defense network is slow and where it can break. As the formation heads north, Pentagon teams are already reviewing the feed. They map the gaps in coverage and mark the weak zones. Tonight wasn't just a patrol. It was a blueprint for any future operation. Politics add more weight. Washington is close to labeling Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist group, which would open the door to more pressure and possible limited strikes. The information gathered tonight helps shape those decisions. For the pilots, the lesson is simple. Quiet skies can still turn dangerous fast. For Venezuela, the message is even clearer. The US can get close, learn everything, and leave untouched. If you think this mission was a warning to Maduro, press 1. If you think it was preparation for something bigger, press 9. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.